Chair recognizes Mr. Castro.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Ambassador, for your testimony today. In your prepared testimony, you said, quote, by the end of 2018, as is well known, the President's decision was to bring home American forces from Afghanistan. We've also heard testimony in multiple closed-door transcribed interviews with senior State Department officials to this effect. In other words, that the withdrawal of all U.S. troops the withdrawal of all U.S. troops from Afghanistan began in February 2020 as part of the agreement you negotiated between the United States and the Taliban. Can you provide examples of how President Trump's decision to withdraw all U.S. troops was apparent and, quote, well known beginning in 2018?
Well, and the president that tweeted to that effect multiple times, I would give a reference to Secretary Pompeo's book in which he documents the president's determination. Of course, when I had my meetings with the president, he always made that clear, that that was the objective.
So let me ask you, so it's fair to say the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan began as a result of the February 2020 Doha Agreement under President Trump?
Indeed.
And do you believe that sentiment to withdraw all troops was known or suspected by the Taliban when you were negotiating with them? And what informs this belief?
Well, the public statements, sometimes the Taliban would say that I was not following in my negotiations the letter of or the spirit of what was being said publicly by saying we would only withdraw if certain conditions are met. Why sometimes statements would be made that created the impression as if we would withdraw regardless. So
you feel like that was undermining at the time you're negotiating?
Well, but that's for others to judge, but the challenge is as I described. The challenge was as I described.
And so, and how did that situation, the conflicting statements and so forth, the fact that the Taliban had a sense at least or suspected that there would be a total withdrawal, how did that affect your ability to negotiate the Doha deal with them?
Was not helpful, but also, however, I tried to educate them not to take public statements made for a variety of reasons as the definitive final word, because circumstances could change, that we needed a good agreement, as good as possible, given the statements that were being made, because without having such an agreement, they might hear a statement very different than the statement.
From the president or the Secretary of State or some high-ranking U.S. official.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you negotiated this deal. Was there ever any doubt that what it committed the United States to do was to draw down its military fully from the country? Basically, to go to zero?
Yeah. That was clearly in the agreement, but the idea of perhaps leaving some forces behind was there, not in the agreement. We had raised it with the Talibs. It became an understanding, I have to be careful how to articulate this, that if there is an agreement between the government of Afghanistan and the Taliban, and there is a new unity government, the issue of a residual U.S. presence would be decided by that government. But as Talibs, they could never agree to themselves.
Let me ask you, so in light of these facts to which you've testified, would it be reasonable to say that the withdrawal began in 2020?
Right.
And that it wasn't the sole decision of one U.S. president in 2021?
I agreed.
The Trump administration initiated the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan by negotiating and ultimately concluding the Doha deal in February 2020 with an explicit aim to withdraw all American troops in the country in 14 months.
Right.
The Trump administration's implementation of this deal set in motion the formal U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Agreed. I would advise that if we could think about withdrawal and then the way the final phase of withdrawal happened. That's, I think, a distinction that we should keep in mind.
Thank you. I yield back.
Gentlemen, time has expired. Chair recognizes